Hey YouTube. um, I, I said that I would make a spreadsheet, a smaller spreadsheet, geared towards the Woodmizer lt15 or any small mill, and I have that here. Now, I was working on it this afternoon. I didn't really do anything outside because I figured I may as well. It was raining and I was going to get this done. And I want to finish up this series. This will be, I think, number 5, and I'm getting tired of doing them because they're taking up too much of my time. It took me 3 hours to put this spreadsheet together, so I think you'll appreciate what you have here now. And these are the ones that I'll send to the guys that have the Woodmizer. If you you can actually use this for any kind of business. You just have to rearrange some of the things on it, but I had gotten some comments, from different people in different types of business who this has helped. And this one has some overhead on it, so this will actually help you a lot better. So let me go through this real quick. All right, first of all, on the top heading here, I narrowed things down a little bit. This is called the Woodmizer LT Cost Spreadsheet. Okay, this is basically the name of the spreadsheet. Manpower per hour, machinery per hour, materials per hour, and money per hour. Okay, this is something that, let me narrow that up, it looks the same. And then I have here a category for logs, and I use 8-foot logs most of the time. I like 8-footers, and the reason for it is I'm just too old to be carrying anything bigger than that. If you're trying to carry 2-inch red oak boards that are 12, 16 foot long, believe me, it is too heavy for me. So I'm working with 8-footers. You can naturally adjust this any way you want. And then I have a unit here, which just is the different units that refer to something on the line. So in other words, in this case, tons would be 9 tons of logs. Over here you're looking at a price for the chainsaw, and that's basically what the units are. So for each chainsaw, it's this much money. And then this just is the purchase price on the different items there. Now, here's the thing you want to keep an eye on with this. Again, I'm going to call these things work packages, okay? But the first thing we have here now under this, if you're in the real log business and cutting, is log acquisition. Now, I am not talking here about people who get free logs or go on Craigslist and get free logs, but part of this applies to you. From what I have determined, it's $45 a ton for red oak. Now, you have to look up some charts. There are some good charts out there that you can find on DEP website or DCNR, and it'll show you what some of the prices are, either per 1,000 board feet or per weight or whatever, and I've narrowed this down to the ton. So it's basically $45 a ton in this area that I can see, or national average for logs. Now, when you cut red oak logs and you make them like I have here, 8 foot 3 inches long, a 16-inch, which is a like an average size log. They could be bigger, they could be less. It's up to you to know that and to know what to pay. But I'm looking at $45 a ton, $45 a ton for logs. Now, with my logger here, I'm expecting him to cut 3 logs an hour into, and of those 3, he'll get 3 8 foot 3 inch logs out of them. So that's where I come up with the 9 logs, okay? So you want to pay attention to everything I'm saying here, because I'm going to go down the list with the whole thing and then I'm going to stop. Alright, so at 9 tons, this is in 1 hour's work. 9 ton of logs, $45 a ton. It cost me $405 to buy them. Again, if you get them free, that doesn't apply to you. However, if you look down here, I still have logger, chainsaw, skidder, truck, and toolbox. The only difference that I've done here is most of these numbers are still the same in here, okay? It's still $20 for the logger and things, and you can look at these when I send them to you. But anyway, if you look down here at the bottom, I have in blue, okay, this is the logging charge. So if you pay for logs, you have to allow yourself $625.69 an hour to pay for those logs plus the work that you're doing to cut them down. This is if you're cutting the logs down. If you're getting free logs, okay, then, and this means you're going to pick them up, or you're going to cut the tree down. If you're going to cut the tree down, you are still needing the logger, the chainsaw, the skidder, the truck, your toolbox, and this toolbox has in a chainsaw, you know, an extra chainsaw, mechanics set, cables, files, gas cans. You can read this when you get a chance. The point is this is how you keep track of all this stuff, and you charge for it. So at this rate, with all these things, the toolbox, the truck, the skidder, the chainsaw, and the logger, okay, you have a total of $275.86. And this, by the way, if you look at the top here, you can see there's 1.25 there. What that means is that that's added in already as a profit for you. Okay, it's $625 with a profit in order to pay for the logs at a fair price and still use your trucks and stuff to get these things. All right, so that's one section of logging. That's the logging part. Now a lot of you guys are going to be interested in this section here, which is the sawmill section. This whole section here is devoted only to the lt15 sawmill, or any other sawmill that costs $10,000 or less, okay? So, and you can put numbers in here and adjust your figures. You'd have to do all the adjusting. You need to be a little proficient in Excel to be able to figure out the formulas I have here. So I'm just telling you that now, because I'm not going to be explaining how to use Excel. You can take a college course somewhere to show you how to do that. In a couple of hours you can learn how to use Excel. Alright, so this is the sawmill. The machinery cost, the money cost, and everything else broken down, I think a 3-year period. The sawyer's wages, workman's comp, fuel, maintenance, depreciation. And one other thing I added here is I added a site cost, which includes your property taxes. So what you do here with this number is you're basically taking like your property taxes for the year, you're dividing that up, you're dividing it up by the hour, by 2,080 hours. You're dividing that up by how many feet you have on your property, how many, you can do it by acres, you can do it by square feet, but you need to reduce the number down so that you can compare that number that you pay for your property with what you're using for the sawmill. Now naturally, if you're using if you have a lot and the entire lot's devoted to sawmilling, then you can put, you know, whatever number you come up with for years to bring it down to an hour. So you'd have all of your taxes, your fire insurance, and things like that. So this one for me comes down to about 19 cents an hour. Okay, and that would pay my property taxes and stuff for the area where the site is for the mill. Okay, now I'm adding a helper in here to the mill. In other words, you're running that mill. It's a manual mill. It's really nice after having my grandson up here to have a helper. Okay, so we've added the helper in. Again, down here in blue, keep in mind, blue is what you're looking for. You're looking for the blue numbers. Blue here is the milling charge. So in other words, to use your mill plus have a helper, you should be charging $64.54 an hour, and that will again get you this 25% profit up at the top here. Okay? That also averages out, with the 320 board foot that a Woodmizer cuts, to 20 cents a board foot. So you could say to somebody, I'll cut for you for 20 cents a board foot, or if you don't have a helper and it's going to be less money, you could do it for 14 cents a board foot and still make money at this. Okay, that's $43.91. So you're looking at $44 minimum to be able to just saw. That has nothing to do with logging now. That's only the sawmill. Okay, that's only the sawmill. So any LT15, if the guy's charging $43.91 up to $65, should be a fair price. Okay, or 20 cents a board foot and 14 cents a board foot without a helper. Now, these are my numbers in my neck of the woods. I feel they're fair numbers. Depending upon where you're at, it may cost you a little more or a little less, depending upon what all these numbers are up here. You know, if you have a hydraulic mill and you pay $70,000 for it, then your prices are going to have to add up. You may be able to cut faster, and if you can, then that'll still show up down here once you figure this stuff out. Okay? Alright, so then the next thing that I did was I have it broken down for the kiln and a helper to load the kiln. So it's going to be $21.13 for one-time fee to load the kiln. That means that as I'm cutting, this helper who's helping me is also going to be loading the kiln. And it takes a little more effort to load the kiln because you got to put stickers in there. If you're cutting this stuff up and throwing it on somebody's trailer for them to go surface dry or kiln dry or wherever they're going, then you don't need to charge this kiln drying. And then or kiln work. I'm also charging 50 cents for every hour that the kiln is used, and you can figure it's about 300 hours to dry between 1,500 or I have a 1.5 thousand board foot. So 1,500 board feet is going to cost 50 cents an hour for 300 hours. That's a month, all right, to dry that wood down to whatever it gets to in a month. That's all the time I would want to keep it in the kiln, because it just gets to be where it's a pain because you can't get in the kiln now. And then this also includes the cost of replacing another kiln, this $28 of building another kiln, 28 cents I mean, over a period of time. Now this is broken down I think for maybe 3 to 5 years because the kiln's not going to lose that much depreciation on it. Alright, the other thing here then is the planer. Okay, so if I'm going to plane wood, I got the price for the planer plus the operator and things down in here, the depreciation for the planer and stuff, and it ends up being $31.41 an hour to do planing of wood. Okay, now the tractor for moving lumber. Okay, this is for moving lumber at the yard. In other words, in the yard. When you take it off the mill, if you have to move it any great distance, I mean, I see guys complaining and they say, "Oh, you're moving too far." It's 12 feet from my mill to my kiln. I do not consider that a far move. Okay, to me that's an easy one. If I have to move it into my greenhouse to surface dry it, that's a lot different. Okay, I have to pick it up, move it over there. I have to load it onto the tractor if I cut it piece by piece and load it. And then I got to take it off piece by piece to unload it into the greenhouse. So, you know, I need to have some money for that. So that averages out to $48 for that tractor an hour. Okay, and that includes the operator. So with you need to add together the $48 and let's see here. I don't want to go up to the milling and this milling fee. So the milling fee plus the tractor fee, so that's $48.23 plus this $64.54. Now you can still keep this number here when it comes to this board foot because these all have profit added to them for you. But the bottom one you would want to add to it if you have to do any moving of the lumber. If a guy brings the lumber in on a trailer and you have to use the tractor to set it onto the bed, still charge for that. Okay? Alright, so that's the planer cost. Alright, so the tractor for moving the lumber, $48.23 an hour. That's with an operator. Now, this is very light overhead. I'm thinking that all your work's being done outside. And if you have a small mill like this and you're only cutting, you know, 9 logs up here and there or whatever, that's why I broke this down by the hour and not the year. What happens here is you have a $20 for the secretary, and you can change these numbers if you want. Workman's comp, Social Security, but either way, you're the secretary. If you have nobody to help you fill out a bill to bill somebody or some kind of paperwork, because you got to fill out taxes. You must charge taxes and stuff, you know, sales tax on lumber. So you need to get, you know, that in order. so I'm talking here workman's comp, Social Security, then computer, the computer, 25 cents an hour for a $1,300 purchase price computer, which should be a very good computer for 1,300 bucks in this day and age. Printers, I see them a dime a dozen down at Walmart and they last forever. I got an HP 4200 here that's been going for 10 years. Electric for this whole operation shouldn't be no more than 10 cents an hour. When you add that up, it comes with profit, it comes to $27.41. So any kind of office work that you do, if you hire a secretary for a couple hours, whatever those hours are, this has to be included in with whatever the cost is. Now, a lot of this stuff can be figured out. You know, the milling charge can be done right on the spot. You can figure that out, have a notebook with you, and just multiply out how many hours you worked or how many board feet you made. All right? So the other thing here then is this whole operation, if you have the whole operation running at one time, you're looking at $818 an hour to run the whole operation. Okay? Now, I did not bother to go into the annual cost for this. So anybody who has an lt15 now can take this sheet and work this out, use this to work out your cost by the hour. If you do logging and you pay for the logs, you have got to charge a minimum of $625 if you have all this stuff. If you have a toolbox with tools in it, you have a truck, you have a skidder, and if you have a trailer to haul your stuff, you need to add the trailer in here somewhere. You have a skidder, you have a chainsaw, you have a logger. See, my thing is, for me, I can use my backhoe to go get all the logs I need, pick them up, and actually bring them to my property. It's that close. So I'm not having an issue with needing a trailer or actually a truck. I can actually use my skidder, which is my backhoe with a set of forks, and bring the logs right to my sawmill. So that's why I have it set up like this. But if you need a truck plus you need a trailer, then by all means add that in there. Put a trailer, put the cost of everything, and add it in. Alright, so again, the toolbox. So what you're looking for when if you gave me your email address, I'll send this to you. Especially for people working with the sawmill. That's who I'm trying to help. So you would be looking at this if you're logging, either $625 if you buy logs, $275 if you don't. Now keep in mind, $625, that's at $45 a ton. If you can get the logs cheaper than that, by all means buy them. I don't consider it cheating. If somebody, you know, wants a price on logs and you give them a price, whatever it is, whatever it's worth to you, that's up to you. Now, as far as the sawmill goes, this whole thing here has nothing to do but except cutting on the mill. So on the mill, if you have no helper, it's $43.91. If you do have a helper, it's $64.54. All right. Now, depending upon like blades, when it comes to blades, I've heard a couple guys who are in the business, and they say they'll do it for a certain hour or certain board foot price. But then they want to be reimbursed for the blade $25 or $30, depending on the blade. You can buy blades for 60 bucks a piece. It's up to you. But what I'm saying is you need to make it contingent on, you'll do these numbers on contingent that they pay for any blades that hit nails that you can show with a nail or wire or whatever's in there. Okay, and again, and I'm going over this quick because I don't want my stupid battery to go dead. If I have to kiln dry and I need a helper to load the kiln, then it's a $21 fee to load the kiln, because don't forget I'm cutting while I'm going here. So it's only another 2 steps to put it in, but I got to have stickers for it. Kiln charge then is 50 cents an hour for the 30 hours, or the 30, actually it's 300 hours that this thing would be in the kiln. Okay, and then the planer, if I'm going to use the planer, it ends up being $31.44 an hour, and that will also replace the planer when you're done. So some of the things here, like we have depreciation for the truck, depreciation for the skidder, we have depreciation for the chainsaw. So we have a lot of money in there for things to pay us back, and we should have. And like I say, the overhead at the bottom here, now I have a pretty nice office. My office isn't that big. It's only 12 by 24, but I have everything I need in here. I have drawing tables, I have desks, I have 3 computer laptops, I have monitors. Now, I'm not charging for all that stuff because I do other things besides just this. But I'm just saying, you know, I have a fully ready to go office. You may want to add into the bottom of your overhead, you know, paper products and pens and crap like that if you need. Ink cartridges, I didn't add that in here because it's almost frivolous, but you still need to add it in. Okay, you should add it in. If you use an ink cartridge to write somebody bills, that's overhead and that should be charged to the people. So this $27.41, no matter what section you use here, if you do only logging, you still need that $20 and some cents to be added in. If you do only milling, then whatever time it takes to do the secretary work or the overhead work to that, you need to add that in. Okay, if you do planing and you got to write out bills for this, add in an hour for planing, for not planing, for overhead. The overhead does not have to be constant. You know, you're not working constant with the sawmill, so you shouldn't be charging constantly for the overhead. Although the overhead, you know, if you can keep somebody busy 8 hours a day or even 6 hours a day with this, it would be nice because then you can get those hours. So this is what it costs if you do the whole project, 816 or 818. If you're doing the whole thing, if you're cutting wood, if you're logging, if you're hauling, if you're cutting lumber, this is what it's going to cost you, 818, which is very similar to what we had on the other spreadsheet. Okay, so this is what it is with a profit per hour. Like I said, this 27 is for the overhead. So the overhead has a number. The tractor for moving lumber has a number. The planer has a number. The helper has a number with the kiln, and also the milling. I have 2 numbers here, one with a helper and one without. Now, you know, you may look at this and say, if I have a helper, I'm cutting wood faster. If I don't, I'm cutting a little slower. And that's up to you how to decide that. You can do with that whatever you want. I don't care, excuse me, what you do with it. So, anyway, these are the numbers, how they come out. There's always going to be numbers on a spreadsheet that can be variable or adjusted in different ways. This is not a perfect spreadsheet. This is a very good sheet, though, on guys who have a small manual mill to help you figure out what to charge. And most people are going to dive right towards this number here, $64 or $43, and they're going to charge these board foot prices. Now again, depending upon what you're cutting, you can slow this down a little in pricing. You may be able to get pine for a lot less than $45 for a ton. Just check it out and see what it's worth. You can find that out, like I say, on the DEP websites. Guys, if you have questions, ask them in the comments. I'll answer them the best I can. I did get one question today that I thought was a good question, and the guy explained that he didn't think it applied to my video series here, and it actually doesn't. But he was talking about, you know, what do you do when the market's not there? Look, when I started in business, I started with a hammer, a nail bag, and a pickup truck. After all the years I got done, and you can do the math, you're looking at 5,000 houses at $110,000 a piece minimum. That's a lot of money. In order for me to get to that point, I did a lot of investing in other things. For instance, I have stock in the oil companies. I have stock in the gas well people that are drilling gas wells under my property. So, you know, I also have rental property. And as you start your business and you make money, and there's a lot of places here, all this money is not money you should be spending. Like when it comes time for workman's comp, Social Security, you better be putting this money away and don't be using it to buy crap. You know, use your wages only. Just $20 an hour. Put the rest of the money away. You have to in order to be able to keep your business going. But anyway, what I was saying is the guy had asked about, you know, the problems of business, like if the market slows down or whatever. And what I'm saying in a nutshell here is you need to invest in other things as well as this. Okay? You don't just cut lumber when you're working with trees. You can get these fancy boards these guys are cutting, live edge boards or whatever. You can cut siding, you can cut roof shingles, you can cut firewood. Whatever you can do to get money with that wood, you do. Okay? You do that. That's what you do in business. You make money everywhere you can. And let me just explain one thing to you. If you have one income, you are never going to be rich. You need to have more than one income. Okay? So that means that all of this stuff here that adds up to one income, you are not going to get very, very wealthy with this. In order to get very wealthy, you have to have a lot of income. Okay? Like if you buy a piece of property and you rent it, you fix it up, you rent it, and you have some good people in it, you have income there. Okay? If you have some of your old freaking trucks and you fix them up and they're worthless to you, put them out for sale. You got a little bit of income there. If you have, you know, a shop that you can fix all your own stuff, like your skidders and all, maybe you can fix other people's stuff if you have a guy working there that, you know, you need to charge for. Anything you can get into is what you need to do. Now that's the short answer to his question. It's a difficult question. There's a lot more to it, and if I had the time I would get into it. I don't have the time right now, and I need to get back to cutting because all my logs, there's no wood on them no snow on them anymore, so I want to get back to my sawmill. So like I say, if you have questions on this, I'll be happy to answer them for you. If you send me your email address, I will send you this particular sheet. If you want both sheets, just let me know. This one is more or less for a guy with a sawmill that's trying to make ends meet. And this is how you should charge. Alright, so guys, have a good one. It's late Friday night already. What the heck time is it? 10:13. Okay, well it took me, like I say, about 3 or 4 hours to put this together. So I'll put this video up for you, and this is going to be the last one I do on the video series for the spreadsheets. If you have questions about business or anything like that, and you would like some information on how to prepare stuff for a business or what you should do in a certain circumstance, let me know. The one thing I wanted to show you here, like when I came here to the toolbox, I don't know if I went over this with my last video or not, but this is a point where you can take all those little things that you don't know what to do with, you don't know how to charge for them, and you put them in there and you get money for them. Okay? Just for instance, I had a crew of guys at one time that put pipelines in, and what they would have on the back of the truck is a whacker, which is a tamper. They would have a pump. They would have some hand tools. They would have different things that, you know, shovels, rakes, picks, things like that. I charged for all that stuff. And you do it just like this right here. You do it on a spreadsheet, and that's what you add into all your costing, your job costing. Okay guys, have a good one. Bye. Oh guys, one other thing I wanted to add. The other reason that I need to get going here and get away from these videos for a little bit is because I'm taking the transmission out of my truck. So I started excuse me, doing that, and I gotta get this stuff done. I mean, you know, I hate having this truck sitting in here, so I want to get this finished up this weekend if I can. Just thought I'd let you know that. Bye.